Well, as we stay with what is happening in KZN province, it's going to be a rough start to the academic year for some learners in KZN. We understand almost 200 schools in the province have been damaged in those storms since the beginning of December. So how ready is the KZN Education Department? Well, let's speak to them. Let's get you the latest we can now from MEC for Education in KZN, Mr. Kwazi Mshengu. Mr. Mshengu, good morning to you. So it looks like Mother Nature is making your life more difficult than it should be, and now you're having to literally mop up the mess. Mr. Mshengu, I suspect you might be muted before you continue. Maybe just start again on that one for me. There we go. Good morning.
Well,
I can hear you now.
Well, good morning, Gareth, and good morning to your listeners. The inclement weather conditions are really causing havoc in the province, and our schools are badly affected. As it stands now, we are standing at 191 schools that have been affected. We were supposed to open all our schools yesterday to receive educators in preparation for Wednesday, where our learners will be coming back. We had to take a decision that some schools in Ladysmith should not open, because it was clear that if we proceed in terms of reopening them, we're going to risk the lives of the educators. So we said those schools, about 39 of them, that they should not open, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. But the damage is really bad, and it's affecting our preparations insofar as those schools that are damaged is concerned.
We're going to talk about the schools that aren't damaged in a moment, MEC, if it's okay. But what's our timeline for getting the damaged schools repaired and up and running? Give me your best and worst case scenario.
Well, you would know, Gareth, that there was actually no budget set aside for such things. It's a disaster, and it's something that you basically can't plan for. So we are now really working on reprioritizing funds from certain programs, so that we rechannel them to this emergency area now, where we have to repair the schools that have been damaged. But in the meantime, we are procuring mobile classrooms for those for 90 schools. Out of 191, there are 90 schools that are really affected in terms of the classroom space. And the process of procurement has been undertaken over the weekend. I was advised that delivery will start today. In fact, certain schools actually did receive some of the mobile classrooms, because there were schools that we had repaired last year, and they were no longer in need of these mobile classrooms. So we had to take them from those schools and redirect them to the schools that are in need. There may be schools, Gareth, that would not receive the mobile classroom either today or tomorrow, because the procurement process, as I said, this was just an emergency, so we're not really ready to deal with this matter. But what is giving us comfort is that all the schools that have been affected, there are classrooms that were spared, which means that as we also follow the rotation timetabling, there will be grades that will be able to come to schools and not be affected. And we have said we're going to prioritize grade 12 and grade 11, and as we speed up the process of delivering the mobile classrooms that we are procuring.
I'm going to leave this as my last question to you then. Let's move away from the storms for the moment. I know it's the all-consuming problem, but storm damage aside, are you going to have the same problems that we saw in Gauteng with not enough schools and too many pupils? Pupil placement is what I'm asking you. How are we looking on that? Or are you going to be dealing with very angry parents tomorrow morning?
Well, there are always angry parents at the beginning of the year, Gareth. In terms of our reports, yesterday we were sitting at just about 1,100 learners that were still in need of being placed in different parts of our schools. Some of them applied late, some of them have been on the waiting list, and they are just told now by schools that no, we can't accept you. But we have been assisting those learners. The number has been around 1,600 at the beginning. I mean, as of last week, we have brought that number down. I'm sure the work as we continue today, will further bring that number down, because the intention really is that we clear that list at least by tomorrow. All those learners that are on the list must have been accepted in one school or the other. But we know, Gareth, that like it happens every year. There will be those who will wake up tomorrow having not applied or having applied in a different school. Now they want another school. They will just be walking into those schools and demanding to be admitted. What we have done is to set up committees in all districts, our 12 districts, admission committees, which will be assisting those learners. The intention is that by end of January, every learner that is supposed to be in class must actually be in class, and we don't really anticipate havoc around that again.
We appreciate the time. Of course, we know that the education departments around the country have a lot of work to do, but the parents don't always help the situation either and make life very difficult. Mr. Mshengu, no doubt you and I will speak again later in this week. All the very best with the school repairs and the school classes opening again tomorrow. KZN Education MEC, Kwazi Mshengu.